Yeah, so I had a really abnormally fast career trajectory,
At 27.
I
Jeez.
credit that mostly to the side projects I've worked on. I've been blogging and doing
Mm.
side projects, pretty much my whole career as a developer, and so that allowed me to kind of stair step a little faster than maybe someone that's just clocking in and clocking out.
These small successes we have, they happen by accident, but it's also because we actually just tried to do something, right? We weren't just like waiting for something to come around. What is your view on college?
Oh man,
So
that
this will be
that's a
good. This will go
wide
on
question. Yeah.
TikTok. This will be a 5 minute video on my channel as well. Everyone, I want to welcome you all to another episode of Chris Sean Talks. I am very excited for this episode because we don't only have a developer that I'll be speaking to who has extensive experience as an engineer, but someone who's also a business owner, which I am now trying to be as well. So I'm very excited to speak to another business owner, developer, you name it. We have Lane Wagner on here. And Lane, you are primarily a backend developer, but you're also the CEO and founder of Boot.dev, right?
Correct. So I'm basically self-taught front end engineer because it's a full stack web app. But yeah, my professional experience is all back end stuff.
Oh, okay. So you mean a full stack. Cool. So you're a real engineer. What people would tell me, right? Because I'm a front end developer, and people will always tell me, "You're a front end developer, Chris. You're not a real developer." I'm like, you don't understand how complicated this
That's
gets.
toxic, man. That's toxic.
Yeah. Welcome to YouTube. Yeah. Well, thank you for being on here. Well, I mean, introduce yourself. So I'm sure there's a lot that I missed. So you're Lane Wagner. You started your own online course, online website tutorial. What would you call that? Online courses, right?
Yeah, it's it's funny because online courses sometimes get bucketed right into like just videos.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a platform. It's very similar to Codecademy. If you've ever done
Mm-hmm.
Codecademy, kind of code in the browser. So my day when I'm working on the platform is split very much between actually creating course content and developing the platform itself. It's a lot of gamified elements to develop and stuff.
That's not easy. That's time consuming, right?
Yeah.
People have been telling me for years to create tutorials because I know I can make a lot of money off of it, right? Having a following on YouTube, etc. But I guess you could say I was never really just driven. I try to get sponsors and stuff, but like on top of that, I'm not really driven by doing something just for the money. I want to actually enjoy it. And tutorials, yeah, I'm a developer. I do it. I don't code 8 hours a day. I'm a half a developer. I'm a developer advocate now, but like I don't code as much as I used to, and I just feel it's very hard to create even one course. I feel like one course can take months. I mean,
Oh,
depending on your
totally.
expertise, maybe trying to research other tutorials and what they screw up on and how you could be better than them.
I mean, like you said, it takes a while. I've been building this platform and these courses for a little over 2 years, and I just went full time on this 3 days ago. So
Wait,
it takes a while to
really?
get traction. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's actually impressive. Okay, and the reason that is impressive to me is because we signed, I think, a deal maybe a couple days ago, or started talking last week, right? You're
Yep.
sponsoring a video that's coming out, but you weren't even full time yet.
Correct. This has been a side project, and just about a month ago, not even a month ago, I closed some funding. So I got a very small amount of seed funding for this thing, and that's
Oh,
allowed me
okay.
to quit my. I was an engineering manager at a company called Reputation,
Yeah.
doing back end stuff, and yeah, no, I'm full time.
That's exciting because for me personally, I mean, I make really good income as a developer. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I barely code. I don't even code nearly as much as I used to. I code maybe 4 hours a week tops. But I get paid like a senior engineer, right? And
Yeah.
which is mind boggling. And the reason I bring that up is because I'm being paid more money than I ever thought I could ever receive from a company. Wait, like $100,000 more than I ever thought I'd earn. Yet now my YouTube income is even surpassing that.
Right.
Like as of recently, right?
That's awesome.
Like recent, right? And like more, like pretty much more than tripling what I make per month. As I've only been doing, like try going all out for a month and a half, and that's scary because all this money is here, right? And yet my job that I've been trying to work for over half a decade, growing a career in, it doesn't feel as important anymore. So I feel like I'm in a crossroads right now on, do I go all out on this? Right? All my YouTuber friends are telling me, Chris, you're crazy. You're making good money on YouTube. You should just quit. It's scary for me. So like,
We should
is
talk
it
about
because
this.
of yeah, like
This
I'm
is
sure
exactly
you
what was
felt
going
that
through my
too.
head. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm because like I mean you've been a developer for over 10 years, so longer than me. Even though you look younger than me. How old are you, by the way?
So I've been writing code for over 10 years. I've only been
Oh,
a
okay,
professional developer for about 7 years now.
okay. So 1 year longer than me. How old are you? If you don't mind asking that.
27.
Fudge, you've been a developer since you were 20. and you're self-taught.
I did. Well, I do have a CS degree.
Oh, you have a CS
I did
degree.
some
Okay.
college in high
Oh,
school.
you're a self-taught front-end developer.
Correct.
I mean, to be honest, all developers are self-taught though, right? Because how many of
Yes.
us only use, I mean, I didn't go to school, but how many developers I know that went to school use only what they learn in college, right?
Right.
So I just want to talk about this real quick. So 7 years, in particular, you were a hiring manager, so you led a team for the last couple of years, right? Which means you're making more money, of course, but you also have more responsibilities, and you left that a couple of days ago to do this.
Yeah, so I had a really abnormally fast career trajectory, and
At 27,
I credit that mostly to the side projects I've worked on. I've been blogging and doing side projects, pretty much my whole career as a developer, and so that allowed me to kind of stair step a little faster than maybe someone that's just clocking in and clocking out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do it because I genuinely did it because I liked doing it, not because I wanted to stair step faster. And that's, at the end of the day, that's why I ended up leaving to start my own thing.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but like these side hobbies, these are just things we do for fun, right? Like YouTube was my hobby for over half a decade, as long as I've been an engineer. Something I just do for fun. And it just so happens to finally do well. I mean, you raised money, which is actually very impressive, by the way. These small successes we have, they happen by accident, but it's also because we actually just tried to do something, right? We weren't just like waiting for something to come around. So Boot.dev, how long has that been around? Like, when did you just start that?
I started writing code about 2 years ago. And writing the courses. It's all kind of, all in one. Had to do both, wrote the platform, then like published the first course on it. And the reason I did it was because my wife, she's working as an X-ray technician before we had our daughter just about a year ago. And she wanted to get into development because she was getting really sick of being in the hospital all the time, being on call at 3 a.m. There were nights that like I would wake up and go with her, like, after working my full-time job to be with her at the, taking like drug tests and stuff like that. Anyways, so we went looking for somewhere where she could learn online.
And as a developer, you decided to just, I'll just build it myself.
That's pretty much how it went. I mean, I did try to find a solution that would work, but I wasn't happy with any of them. And particularly what was missing to me was she wanted to learn backend development. So we needed somewhere where she could learn backend. But also I felt it was really important as a hiring manager that she got that essentially the CS fundamentals in the curriculum somewhere. And everywhere I found kind of skips over that.
You know what? And if I could just point that out. So when you reach out to us, I mean, I've never heard of Boot.dev. And I'm like, what is this? Is this not a boot camp? All right, let's just check it out. Make sure the courses are legit. I want to make sure what I promote is good for the community. And one thing that was emphasized was backend development. Usually it's JavaScript, React, because it's easier to get a job in front-end development, right? I mean, React is everywhere. It's so popular right now. It's hot. But you emphasize in backend development, not even just that. You emphasize in computer science. And I'm like, I've never seen someone do that.
Yeah, it's everyone goes to college for it. But there's tons of people out there that don't want to go back to college, but do enjoy, back-end work, algorithms work, like performance systems, that kind of stuff. And it's like you said, I have absolutely nothing against React, Vue. Like I use Vue, right? Like it's great. But there's tons of great resources out there for that. So we're trying to do something that we feel isn't really out there.
Which is honestly very impressive, because you probably saw my last podcast where I didn't shit on college. I think college there's nothing wrong with college. I mean, other than the fact that they put everyone into have everyone, they're stuck with their loans forever. Other than that, I think that a lot of people who want to learn code, especially in the later 20s, right? Later in the 20s, 30s or 40s, maybe 50s. I mean, a lot of them can't just go back to college part-time or full-time. If you go part-time, it'll take you 8 years to get your degree, right? Full-time, 4 years, right? But everyone has to work full-time as well to just live. And so I don't recommend that. And so that's one of the reasons why I was so excited to actually work with you. Because number one, I work as a backend developer now in data engineering. Even though I said I barely code, I still work in backend. And one thing I've noticed is that a lot of the people I know, and even for me personally in backend, I get paid much more than I would as a JavaScript developer. As a JavaScript developer, my base, this is just base salary, would have probably topped off at 150K, knowing what my skill level is. Right, it's just my skill. Knowing what my skill level is, and I know I'm not the best, and that's for sure. But moving straight to backend, it went to like 200K base, right? And then Brex reached out, and they're like, "Chris, we'll pay you X amount. You choose what equity and cash you want. We'll pay you up to 280K in cash, which is a lot, And then Coinbase, even more. We'll pay you closer to 400K if you move to San Francisco. Hell no.
Where are you based again?
I'm in Las Vegas.
Oh, my family's from Vegas. I'll have to say hi sometime. sometime. Next time I'm down there.
Yeah, no, please. I love it here because I'm always in my house where it's air conditioned. But yeah, and so like what I noticed was, wow, moving more towards back-end development brings me more opportunities, which I want to actually start making videos on. And I know a lot of people will hate on me for this, for saying, hey, I don't think back-end development's more important than front-end. I think they need each other.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen and even experience, we get paid more.
I mean, I was just crunching numbers on this. According to the last Stack Overflow survey, I believe the disparity was, I want to say it was $15,000. Like the median front end developer in the US was around 135K. And median backend was around 150. That gap is closing. It's worth pointing out.
Front end development's only getting harder.
Right. Front end development's getting harder, and I mean backend development isn't really getting easier. But 10 years ago, all front end development was like raw HTML. Or I should go farther back than that. Probably like 15, 18 years ago, right?
Flash. But backend is just more. It's more than just PHP and Laravel. Machine learning, data scientists, artificial intelligence, computer vision. So backend is just so much more broader than I think than front end.
There's tons of stuff. I mean, most of my career has been in ETL systems, extract, transfer, load, right? You could think of my customers as the data science team.
That's what I do now.
Right?
I do a lot of ETL now.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's a huge part of back-end engineering. But you're right. The scope is huge because there's just so much going on not on the screen. Right.
Oh my gosh. I'm just so excited talking about this because I can't really talk to people about this. Back in development, I thought I would be bored of it because when it comes to front end development, you create something, you see the results right away. Back end, it might take much more time. And it's really just all numbers that it's just numbers, data that you see, you work with. But I found that to be even more exciting for me. I don't know. Maybe because I feel like, I'm a real developer now. Now, if you want a hacker to be on screen, use me, and I'll have my terminal run Docker, have my terminal continually moving, etc., make me look cool and stuff. But anyway, yeah, I feel cool now. But anyway, so that's exciting. So I have a question I want to ask, and I think will resonate with a lot of viewers. You were a hiring manager for how many years? You grew pretty quick in your career. 27.
Only the last 3.
Only. Okay, that's half of my career right now. So okay. As a hiring manager, you were hiring data engineers? Yeah,
for backend positions, I've always worked on, well, as a manager, I've worked on small teams of like 3 or 4 developers. So hiring for a small team, most of my career has been in Go. So Go development on the back end, kind of microservices, Kubernetes, cloud engineering type stuff.
Actually, maybe I want to emphasize on this, and please tell me if you think I'm wrong. Right? If I'm wrong, tell me because I want to know, right? I mean, everyone has their own opinions. I think one of the mistakes a lot of people make, which I did as well, was I always just tried to look at how do I say this? When it comes to development, I didn't really try to dive deep into understanding the nuances of languages. It was just build something, get it to look like that, but don't really try to fully understand how JavaScript works, or let's say PHP and etc. And I feel like that limited me when it came to problem solving. So I can make something look pretty, but when it came to problem solving, because I didn't really try to understand the nuances of how a language works, or etc. You name it, a stack works. I felt like that limited me a lot. So for you as a hiring manager, do you think that was one of the reasons, or often one of the reasons why you wouldn't accept someone, you would reject them in an interview?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, problem solving is really important.
That's why
especially.
we make a lot of money.
Yeah. So to answer your question, yes. In interviews, I was a big fan of an interviewing method where basically I would have someone open code that they've already written. So if they had like some open source code, or I would give them a little project to do beforehand. No lead code. All right,
I love you. I love you already. We need to promote this. Boot.dev.
I really struggle with live coding. I've personally failed interviews that like I definitely could have done if no one was watching me over my shoulder, no problem. But so I really don't like live coding, but I do like when someone can like talk me through their process without having to like, stress about syntax and like nitty gritty stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's really what I'm looking for, right? Is whether someone can kind of muddle their way through to a solution, even if they don't have the syntax memorized or the exact algorithm memorized, they kind of know where to start looking. Like, maybe, maybe a binary tree structure would be good for this, or, maybe like this database would be good for XYZ reason.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things that I would look for. And a struggle that I definitely saw with developers is there was basically 2 main camps that I would see people in. One is people who've gotten a degree, right? And if they're fresh out of college, having gotten a CS degree, the big challenge is a lack of a lot of like practical knowledge. Things like just, how to use Git, what Git is in some cases, database technologies that are out there, just like stuff that you do day to day. Yeah, simple
Simple
stuff.
things.
They're like within a month, like you could catch up on all
Yeah,
of this,
you,
right?
you could. So when you say database technologies, like knowing the difference between a relational database, non-relational database, Postgres, and MongoDB. So I would have gone on Java for an interview with you. Perfect. Cool. Just kidding. No. Okay. So again, the small nuances, and I feel like because I've interviewed a few people when it comes to front-end development, but those small nuances are very important because it shows if someone is interested in what they're doing, right?
And that's just the problems that people who've gotten a degree have. Like on the other side of the spectrum, like you kind of swing the pendulum completely the other way. Self-taught developers and bootcamp graduates, in my opinion, typically had the other problem where they did know a lot of the technologies, right? And they did know how to like push a project up to Git and all this stuff. But they lacked in a lot of cases like fundamental knowledge about basic data structures, algorithms, problem solving skills, critical thinking, like these kinds of things. And so my kind of the goal of Boot.dev is like I think there's like this happy medium you can find where you're using like modern technologies that are like real life and applicable, but you're still doing all of that like fundamental CS learning.
That is amazing. And now I can see why you emphasize on particular things, even on I guess your job now, your company, right? Your courses that you sell online, which makes total sense. I do have another question as well. What is your view on college?
Oh man.
So this will be
that's a
good. This will go
wide
on
question,
TikTok.
yeah.
This will be a 5-minute video on my channel as well. CEO tells me his views on college. What is it?
Okay, there's tons of great things you can learn in a CS degree. Absolutely. But like the big but is that it's really expensive, right?
Yes.
And it's really time consuming. Like if I were talking to like a personal friend or a cousin or something that's asking me how they should go about learning to code.
How old would this person be?
Let's say that they're 18, like they've just graduated high school.
18.
Let's just
Wow,
assume
okay.
that.
Okay.
Assuming they're 18, they just graduated high school. If they have scholarships and they can go to college for free, I would still recommend that.
Yes.
Right? I would just say go to college. Like it's going to be 4 years. You'll have a good time. It's free because you have scholarships, or maybe it's really cheap because you have scholarships. Just do it. But if that's not the case, if that's not the scenario, I think you're better off either self-learning or maybe a boot camp, depending on your personality type these days.
How come?
I just don't think the ROI is there, right? The return on the investment.
Is it because you don't primarily focus on only computer science and software engineering in college? It's like half computer science, half other BS that you'll never use, or?
Yeah, so you've got 2 years of philosophy and humanities classes, right? Which I love philosophy and humanities. And I feel like as a society, we need to figure out how to like get that into like our brains. But like it really sucks to spend a ton of time and money, right? When you're like a poor 19-year-old, like learning stuff that isn't going to help your career.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think there is a scenario under which getting a degree makes a lot of sense. But I also think there's scenarios where boot camps and self-learning make more sense.
How long do you think it should take a self-taught developer to get a job?
I think that there's a huge problem in the e-learning industry where people say it happens too fast, like set expectations too high. I get kind of upset when I hear like, oh, you can do
6
this
months.
in 8 weeks or 6 months
8
or
weeks.
whatever. Like,
Really?
you hear wild claims. I'm not going to name.
I've made a video on doing it in 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months is like more towards the reasonable side, I think. I've heard 3 months, and that is like pretty crazy to me.
I've done it in 3 months, but that was just pure luck.
Oh, it could happen. Like,
I didn't even do a coding interview. It was, oh, Chris, oh, you're from this city? Oh, I'm from that city too. You went to that school? Oh, my kids went to that school. Oh, you know what? Let's hire you.
Yeah.
It made a good YouTube video though.
No, absolutely. And it can happen.
It's not normal.
It's not normal. So like when you're trying to set expectations for yourself, right? Especially, I mean, it depends on how often you're learning, right? Are you spending a couple hours a day? Are you full-time learning, right?
And your comprehension skills as well. I think that's very important.
Right. How well you like did in school would be a good indicator. But I think for most people, if they're self-teaching, like kind of, nights and weekends, that like 9 to 15 months is a pretty good benchmark of like when you should start looking for a job.
So when I say 6 months, I think if you have someone guiding you, right, helping you exactly what to do in this situation, and just considering you have the time to commit, you have the time to focus, you're not like me where I can only focus 10 minutes at a time, right? Yeah, I think that can be possible if you have someone guiding you and giving you
Oh,
direction.
if you have a mentor, it makes it so much faster.
So much faster. If you don't have a mentor, if you don't have anyone giving you direction, you're just going all over the place. So no, I agree. I mean, even just like 9 months to a year and a half, that's very doable. And I think that's like, why should it take less than a year, 2 years? Because people have to go through 4 years of college and pay so much debt, right?
Yeah.
The way I see it, I mean, I'm very passionate about this topic. The way I see it is, if I can get a job in like a year, let's say a span of 4 years, someone goes to college. 1 year, I use that to learn code, get my job in year number 2. In those last 3 years, rather than paying a school to teach me how to code, paying them maybe, I don't know how much school costs now. Let's just say $30K per year, $40K, maybe more.
Could be. It depends where you go. Okay. Oh man, it gets bad.
Let's just say $30,000 a year, right? You're paying a school to teach you how to code for 4 years. That's what? $120,000 in debt, by the way. That would be a really nice Tesla. So you're paying a school $120,000 for the year for them to teach you code, or you can get a job paying you maybe, let's just say $70K a year for 3 of those 4 years to learn code, right, on the job and etc. And I feel like that just makes more sense, especially considering debt now, right? Considering how you can't get out student loans, and I mean, I personally buy everything cash. Everything I buy cash, and I just hate debt. Okay, so cool. I'm really glad to hear that point of view, and I don't think I actually you didn't answer this earlier, but when it came to creating courses, because I want to eventually do that. I don't know when. I don't even have time to play games, which I'm sad about. But like, how long does it take to make a course? Like, I'm on your website right now. Let's just say learn Python. Oh, 30-hour course. Wait, does that mean 30 hours of just going through your tutorial, reading everything if they never stopped? Didn't take break? Like,
I probably need to figure out a better way to indicate this, because it depends so much on the person. I'm kind of benchmarking that for someone that first course is intended for someone who's never coded before. So someone who's never coded is going to like read, reread, like, run the code, debug the code. It's probably going to take about 30 hours.
Yeah.
As far as how long it takes to write a course, there's 6 projects, so 11 courses, I think, right now on the site. And I've been doing this for 2 years. So I've been at a pace of about a course every couple months. The projects, so we do courses and projects. The projects are still time consuming for the student, because it's a lot of like, building. But for me, it's actually a lot easier, because the whole point of the projects is I kind of want to let you go off into the world, and I like give you some guidance and some stuff to build. But yeah, like, you're doing it all on your local machine. You're kind of out of the sandbox, and now you're like building on your own. So those are actually easier for me to put out. But we mix them in there. I think it's helpful.
I'm asking these questions not because this is not being sponsored, because I'm curious for myself.
Yeah.
Right. You say that you're learning computer science here. What does that mean? Because you're teaching people how to work with algorithms, data structures, which a lot of them don't teach anything about data structures, which is, I think, essential even as a front-end developer. Like, what is it that makes how do I learn computer science on here?
Yeah, it's a great question. So computer science is almost a loaded term. Some people, when they think computer science, they just think programming. But the way I use it is, I guess, somewhere in the middle of like the way Alan Turing used it and the way like my mom uses it. So like Alan Turing, like, think back to like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Imitation Game. About him. He was the kind of the founder of computer science in a way. To him, computer science was math, right? It was all on paper, because they didn't really have computers yet. So they're like designing algorithms and cryptography and all this stuff, kind of on paper and theoretically. And then, now obviously we have like programming languages and syntax, stuff like that. So to me, it's somewhere in the middle of the theoretical and the practical. But at the end of the day, like, the core things that we care about teaching are, the algorithms, the data structures, advanced algorithms, like programming paradigms, like functional and object-oriented programming. And then we want to get into some of the more rigorous stuff, like computational theory. So like the study of like what problems can be solved with computation. That's like one of the bigger questions of computer science. And we don't have that course yet. We've been carefully planning for it. Some of them are harder to do, because like, as you get down towards like, traditionally in a CS degree, you get down towards the bottom, it's actually less programming that you do. And there's like a lot of kind of pen and paper type of work. So I'm trying to think through how I can make that fun and engaging without just like having a bunch of text to read or maybe a video to watch. I want you to like do stuff, and that's a little harder with some of the more advanced topics.
I mean, I could only, trying to teach computer science. I mean, I don't know any of it, so I can only imagine how difficult that is. I do have another question, my question is, in regards to your experience working with other developers, who performs better? Self-taught developers, college graduates?
Oh man.
Oh, this is gonna do well. Oh gosh, let's go.
What a funny
No pressure.
question. So
No, but I mean, yeah, just not that who's better, right? No one's necessarily better, but like, yeah.
again, it's different. People with a college degree, again, like let's assume it's once anyone has 5 years of experience, right? Whether they kind of came from boot camp or a college degree, I feel like it starts to blur, and like you couldn't point at someone and tell which they came from unless you like started asking really like academic questions. Then maybe you could pick out the college graduates, right?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. But assuming you're not doing that, right? Then we go back to the beginning, someone with like less than a year of experience, and who's better? Man, the college graduate, again, just to like stereotype and generalize, is going to be stronger in their problem solving skills, right? So they get like some nasty function that they need to debug. And my guess is they'll have an easier time doing that. Whereas just like the day-to-day things of like, working in Git or being familiar with some of the technologies you're using, like say you're a front-end developer, for example, CS grads, in my opinion, like it is so overkill to get a CS degree and then go do like React development because
I agree.
not because it's like not useful. Like there's a lot of stuff that's still useful, right? Like data structures and algorithms are still useful, but like you don't like ever really learn like React or reactive frameworks,
or
and that's like
anything
super
math
important.
related. Anything related to math or
Yeah.
even front development algorithms, at least from what I've seen, unless things change. I haven't done front development in 2 years now, but yeah, I mean, I don't see any of that being used as a front end developer, which makes total sense. Well, why do you think some people do that then? Have you seen that? I mean, I haven't personally seen that. All the front end developers I know, either for some reason they have a degree in front end development, which is kind of weird, or was purely self-taught. Have you seen that?
There's more self-taught developers on the front end for sure.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Like absolutely, which makes sense. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But I do know front end developers have CS degrees. Just on my last team I was on, let's see, 2 of them on the front end, on like the front end team I worked with of 6, 2 of the 6 had CS degrees.
Interesting.
And it's nice because it's flexible for them. Like they could easily move to full stack and back end.
Very true.
But like the point is they didn't graduate with skills in React, so like had to go self-teach that. Essentially,
Yeah.
That's the advantage you have of being self-taught or maybe from bootcamp if you're going into a front-end role. But on the back end, I feel like getting caught up on back-end technologies after a CS degree is like pretty quick, especially if you're doing like data engineering.
You were a hiring manager. You did a lot of ETL. I personally prefer ELT because that's what my company does, Airbyte. But on top of that, like you're running this business. What do you mean? Okay, so maybe I understand if you can't answer this question because I personally work 100 hours a week just trying to learn more about YouTube to succeed in it, etc., which takes a lot more effort than people realize. Someone that I was about to work with told me that YouTube isn't a full-time job. Screw them. They're about to pay me $100,000 just to manage the channel. I'm like, forget this. I'm not doing it. Right? I just threw it away. But I'm like, that's not. I don't want to work with someone like that when you don't understand how difficult it is. But I'm sure you work a lot of hours. You have this company. I don't know if you have anyone that works under you, but like, what do you do outside of that? Do you have any hobbies? You play World of Warcraft? You play Valorant? What is it? What's up?
At the moment,
you're 27.
Yeah,
you must play some game.
At the moment, it's Age of Empires 4. I think there's like tens of us that play that game.
What? Age of Empire. Wait, Age of Empire, that's when you just control like an army, right? And you go to war, you conquer a map or something like that?
Yeah, and the 4th one just came out like, I don't know, 7 or 8 months ago. It's pretty new.
Age of Empire.
I like real-time strategies, yeah.
So I love that game. I do. I love that game. I used to play it a lot, but I get bored after like 1 or 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's online now.
repetitive.
Like the newer ones. You do competitive online, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you actually play against other people. Okay, cool. And on top of that then?
I play the drums. That's a good time.
Okay.
It's a good hobby.
You must be in a house. You cannot be in an apartment. No.
I'm in a house.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from northern Utah. So I have a wife and a daughter. We have our son on the way.
Wow. And you quit your job. You're consistent paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like I said, I raised a small seed round, so I do have a paycheck. It's just smaller.
Know companies do share the seed round. I don't know if you're not able to share that yet, right?
You know what? I actually don't know. I probably can, but I might have to do it another time because I'm not 100% sure. It's
Can we
less
say
than
like,
it's less than $1 million and more than a
but it's
quarter of
sustainable?
$1 million.
Oh, it's less. Okay, cool. So it's sustainable at least for a couple of years, and you can go back to engineering anytime. You might get paid less because you
Right.
took a break, but you can get a job. And I mean, you're only 27. Geez, that's when I became a developer. I'm 35. I'm turning 35. So I became a developer at 27 years old. So yeah, you have all the time in the world. So how is that then for you? Like, do you have anyone that works under you? I mean, the more people you hire, the more money you spend.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have one guy who is at the moment completing a CS degree at kind of the local community college,
Oh, nice.
and he does great work. His name's Alan. He's in our Discord. If you ever join our Discord, you'll see him. But he's great for a number of reasons. He basically does a lot of the development work with me. He helps me write the courses, and he is a fantastic Discord community manager because he was
So
his
important.
qualifications are that he's a World of Warcraft raid leader. So
Oh,
he does a great
so
job.
there are two people who work at this company. One plays Age of Empires. One plays WoW. Okay, that's awesome.
And we
I
play
probably
Dota
want to work
together.
with- Really? Okay.
In our
Well,
off
that's
time. Yeah.
that's awesome. Running this business isn't easy, right? The reason I bring that up is because how many people work under me right now, and this is all my money that's going out. 4 people, and if we add all that up, just my payroll is about $8,500 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's like I don't know, $70K a year.
that's
or something like
pre-tax,
that.
right? I mean, I guess you could say that's half of what I make as a developer because I make about $16K pre-tax every month as a developer, right?
Yeah.
Base salary, and so that's half of my check going to them, trying to like invest in this company, aka YouTube, and that's a lot of money. Do you know how many nice things I could buy? Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
gosh, I can get that Porsche again, or I can buy, I pretty much did whatever I wanted, right? I can with that $8,500 cash going out. But the way I see it is, if you want to grow something and grow it well, I feel like you have to be willing to take that risk, calculated risk. If I need to, I can go get a job again in the future. And you have to be willing to invest in it, because if I'm not willing to really invest in it, then it's not going to grow. Then I really don't believe in it, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Let me give you some numbers I can give you. So like for the
Okay.
last year before we just raised the money like a week ago.
Is it in your bank now?
Yeah, it's done. Which is great.
Nice. That must be nice to see.
Yeah, it's nice having that runway.
Yeah.
But over the last year, I spent personally $50,000 funding Boot.dev. So less than
from
yours.
your own W2 income.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
So I mean, it's less than you're doing, right? In terms of total expenses, right? Because if you were spending about $8,000 a month, that'd be like $90K ish over a year.
But I'm sure you had some money coming in though, right? Some money here and there.
Yeah, so we made in revenue like $27K, I think, over the last 12 months.
Okay.
So I was down, like what, 23?
Not to mention it's a tax write-off. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, definitely. Okay. So wow. So about $5,000 per month, you said?
Yeah, that's about what I was spending. Or yeah, 50,000. Yeah, so a little less than 5,000 what I was spending, and then just the revenue's been growing steadily since then.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. But why? Like your
Why
own
spend money?
Yeah, right. Like no, just really from the perspective of someone who isn't trying to build a business. Everyone just tries to be a developer, but I think everyone should try to start a side hustle. So when you're saying you are dropping $5K per month, where's that going? Because I don't think servers cost that much yet, right? You don't have a lot of people
my servers
on
are cheap, really cheap.
Yeah, so like, where does that money go to?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Business expenses. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
So I'm a developer. I am not a marketer, as it turns out. So I spent a good amount of money trying to experiment with different marketing channels to get the word out, right? So, paying content writers, paying for ad placements, that kind of stuff, was definitely a big part of the expenses. What else did I do? Oh, a big chunk of change was for a while in 2019. Now we're getting a little off topic, but in 2019, I had a business partner on the project temporarily to see if it would work out. And I ended up buying him out of the business at the end of, sorry, not 2019, 2021.
Wow.
What am I doing? Years are weird.
Yeah.
But at the end of 2021, I ended up buying him out for, at the end of the day, I think it was about $14,000. So like that was a big chunk of change.
Oh yeah, of your own personal cash.
Yeah, just to get
Yeah,
that
that's a
percentage of
lot.
the business back. He was great, but it just wasn't working out. The takeaway from that is like, you can't really market to developers without being a developer. It just comes off as disingenuous, right?
Well, that's the thing that developers hate more than anything, is being marketed to.
Exactly.
I mean, right? You're just trying to use your product, etc. People messaging you on LinkedIn to test out the product is very annoying, and I blocked them right away. Okay, that's interesting. And I guess it's interesting because I mean, I spend $0 in marketing because I guess I'm the person that just does it, organically through
That's your
YouTube.
business, right? Your
Yeah, that's my business. I do it for other
content
people.
creation. Yeah. So I'd spent about 50 grand over the last year on the business, made about 27.
Okay.
And right now, just in case anyone's curious about revenue numbers, we did about 7.5 thousand last month in revenue.
That skyrocketed.
Yeah, yeah. A year ago, we were doing less than 1,000.
Why? How? I mean, I'm not selling any. I don't sell anything. But like, what is it? Was it because you're like investing in content creators to promote your product? What is it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely, going on podcasts, stuff like that, to find people. But the product's just come a long way in the last year. Last year we didn't have half of our content, for example. It's like twice as much content now. And yeah, we've really kind of found some, in marketing speak, distribution channels that are working. So like we're finding people on Twitter, we're finding people on Discord, building a product that actually works for a very specific niche audience. I think one of the mistakes I made, again, now we're kind of getting into the weeds of business talk, but one of the mistakes I definitely made in the beginning was trying to build a platform for too many people. And we've really kind of found our niche in...
What do you mean too many people?
Like too many types of people. Like for example, the last thing you want to do when you enter a crowded market like edtech is build like a general product, like come learn to code. You're competing with way too many people, right? You have no specialization, but like if you can kind of niche down, it helps a lot. So we've really focused down on learning backend, on computer science, and even on specific like 2 or 3 programming languages. That's helpful.
Actually, that's a very smart move because I mean, so I'm an affiliate for another online school, Zero to Mastery, but they're targeting everything.
Oh, they're great. Yeah.
Yeah, they're amazing. That's why I promote them. I mean, and the affiliate's nice, but they go all out from Python to do a little bit of data engineering here and there, front end development, a bit of back end development. But that's tough.
Yeah.
Right. And so like I think that's very smart of you because specializing in one thing and in particular promoting computer science, focusing on that without going to college, I feel like that's huge. Like emphasizing to people that they can learn computer science, not just through, is there Harvard has their own website online? I forgot what course everyone talks to. Or
the CS50?
Harvard CS.
Yeah.
Yeah, CS50 that everyone brings up in every single comment in every video. But the fact that you don't even need to do that, but now there's a place where it's easier to learn, it could potentially be easier to learn code, learn computer science on your website, which I think is pretty amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely it. And finding the niche really helps because now we can go super, super deep on it. Like rather than trying to like build random stuff, we get feature requests for like random stuff. Like, oh, when's your React course coming out? And I'm just like, I'm sorry, probably never. It's like we can go super, super deep on this really specific topic. And I think that's pretty fun.
No, that makes sense. Oh gosh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Oh man, I mean, I don't know what other questions I can ask you. I mean, this has been really fun. Do you work 100 hours a week? I'm curious. How many hours a week do you work?
I don't. So gosh. I mean, I just started the like self-employed thing a couple days ago, but when I was working full time, so I'd spend about 40 hours working my full-time job. And then I was spending, depending on the week, between 10 and 20 hours on Boot.dev is probably fair. And then I have a daughter. My wife doesn't work, luckily, so she's able to like stay home full time. And that's what she wants to do, which is great. But I try to spend as much of my evenings as I can with them, so it gets busy. Yeah,
no, I can only imagine having a family. I'm single. I have 2 dogs, and I mean, I'm legally single. Soon I'll be married soon. I'm engaged right now, but I can only imagine.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. No, this has been great. Wow, Lane, I want to thank you for coming on here. This has actually been really fun. There's so much more questions I want to ask you, but I know there's only so much time we can have. So yeah, was there anything else you want to say to end this, where people can find you, catch you, etc.?
Yeah, if you want to find me, I'm at Wags Lane, WHESLANE. Pretty much everywhere, but mostly I'm on Twitter. It's probably the best place to find me. And then just Boot.dev it's the name of the site and the name of the company. So
definitely
find me there too.
Well, dude, I'll put a link in the description too. So awesome, Lane. Again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, man. That was great.